This was a complex and time-consuming investigation.
And the guy there at the podium, that's Cullman County District Attorney Chad Crocker. He had a press conference on Friday at 2 p.m. to announce to the world that a grand jury impaneled of 18 Cullman County residents has reached an indictment on 8 criminal charges against angler Flint Davis. You'll remember that Davis was the angler that was involved in that fatal boating accident during the Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Invitationals on April 16th earlier this year. Now, I was kind of tipped off that this thing was headed for a grand jury months ago, but I wasn't able to say anything about it legally. And I was even told by one source that Flint Davis might have returned back to Smith Lake to kind of walk through and figure out what happened, and that he may have done so in the presence of investigators. Now, after being presented with all the evidence, the grand jury decided on these 8 specific charges. We're going to go over all of them and their potential penalties. But the grand jury also made some recommendations to the state that could change the landscape of tournament fishing in the state of Alabama forever. Now, the Marine Patrol Division of the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, led by Chief Matt Brooks, conducted a several months-long investigation into this fatal crash. And as usual, other channels are already out there spreading misinformation. So let's do what we do best around here. Let's clear it all up using facts. Besides obvious witness statements, investigators got their hands on GoPro footage from several of the boats. Obviously Flint Davis's, Jordan Lee's, John Brown's, as well as others. And in addition, they also got their hands on some GPS tracking data from several electronic devices. Now, the results of the investigation were very telling. Some would say shocking. Unless you're a fan of this channel, do you remember the video I did on the possible cause of the Smith Lake crash, where I even had eyewitness statements? That one up there? Yeah, well, see, we alluded to in that video that Davis might have had his head turned looking at fellow competitor John Brown, who had just landed a fish. Well, we're going to get to the video in a bit, and you tell me what you think. You might be saying, what does that have to do with the criminal investigation? Well, when you listen to what investigators ruled out as contributing factors to the crash, what's left? Let's let Chief Brooks explain.
The lake was not congested. Other vessel traffic was not a factor. The collision did not happen as a result of the tournament's blast-off procedures for the start of the tournament.
And from the comments you guys left on my last 2 videos on this subject, this next one's really going to piss you off.
Excessive speed was not a factor.
Yeah, you heard him correct. Even with the number of boats on the water considering the tournament, that wasn't a factor. The weather was nice. The wind was almost calm. They went on to state there was no alcohol involved. The blast-off procedures that MLF used, that wasn't an issue. And yeah, I knew y'all were going to hate it. They even ruled out excessive speed. So what did Chief Brooks and his investigative team conclude were the contributing factors for the accident?
What then contributed to this collision? Operator inattention, distraction, not paying attention, failing to keep a proper lookout.
Chief Brooks also concluded that Flint Davis was traveling at 67 miles an hour in a straight line with an unobstructed forward view for at least a mile before the crash. So according to investigative authorities, the official cause of the accident was operator inattention and distraction. They say that's what led to Flint Davis clearly not seeing the center console directly in front of him. They released the following video to the public only with the permission of all the families involved. Steve, our good buddy over at Get Your Fish On, he's enhanced and slowed the video. I want you guys to tell me, do you think Flint Davis was distracted? Now let's get into the charges and exactly what they mean. First, we have 3 counts of manslaughter for the deaths of Joey Broom, John Kelly Clark, and Jeff Little. One of the big key differences here that everybody's missing, the grand jury chose manslaughter over negligent homicide, and there's a huge difference. Let me tell you why. Manslaughter involves a reckless disregard for your actions, like showing a reckless disregard for human life, for instance, weaving in and out of traffic at 100 miles an hour. It's a Class B felony, and it's punishable between 2 and 20 years in prison and a $60,000 fine for each offense. Whereas negligent homicide involves a failure to perceive the risk of your actions, like a failure to exercise care. It's the difference between driving like a bat out of hell on the highway or leaving your kid in the car while you're shopping for a couple of hours. So it's important to note that in this situation, they went with the Class B felony over the Class A misdemeanor. They hit him with the heavier of the two charges. Next, we have 2 counts of Class B felony assault for the injuries sustained by the survivors, Gary Holcomb, the owner of the guide service, and Luke Morgan. The indictment also has 3 misdemeanor charges attached as well. 1 Class A misdemeanor of reckless operation of a vehicle, 1 Class A misdemeanor for failure to follow the rules of the road, in this situation on the water, and also boating without a boater certificate. See, Davis did not have a valid operator certificate in the state of Alabama or even a Georgia boater safety certificate in his home state. And Title 33 requires that he have one of the two, and he had neither. And there's still more. The grand jury made what they call findings and recommendations to the state, and they requested that the district attorney make them public immediately. Now, this is where this could change the landscape of tournament angling in the state of Alabama forever. First, they want to require that all tournaments provide proof of boater safety education and all required licenses by law. Second, they want to request that all fishing tournaments in the state of Alabama facilitate safety education for all of their participants. And finally, they stated that facilitators of fishing tournaments have a duty to everyone, their own anglers, other boaters, and the general public, to promote safety during their tournaments. In the end, Davis was taken into custody this past Thursday and bonded out on a $115,000 bond. As you guys know, this story is far from over, so please stay tuned to this channel for the latest developments. I would like to thank each and every single one of you for being here today. I sincerely appreciate it. A special shout out goes to all my channel members. So please do me a favor, like, comment, share the facts, and subscribe. Even consider becoming a member. And don't forget the news tips hotline there at the bottom of the screen. And as always, until next time we meet, get out there in the water and keep it wet.
Yo, it's a real tackle, let's get to the facts. I don't sugarcoat nothing, I'm spitting the max. You think I'm holding back? Nah, I better step back. I'm dropping lines like